We're going to have a last few word problems because why in the heck do we even do logarithmics and exponential functions? So we can figure out word problems. It says, a principal of $1,300 is invested at 5.5% compounded annually. How many years will it take it to accumulate $2,000 or more in the account? Write the smallest possible whole number answer. So, last week Jane probably talked about doing exponential growth and logarithmic growth. Our principal, the amount of money we started with, and then we had the interest rate. Now in the interest, we had to remember we were going to do 1 plus the interest because we still have the full amount in the account, but then we have the interest. And then we took it to the time power. So in this case, we're starting with a principal of $1,300. We're going to have 1 plus 0 or 0.055 because our interest rate is 5.5%. We're trying to find the time it's going to take to accumulate or be $2,000 or more. So be greater than or equal to $2,000. So our equation is going to look something sort of like that. We want to solve this for t. So if we're going to solve it for t, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this in front that's times the expression with the t. So we're going to go ahead and divide by that 1,300. Okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and add that together too in the same step just because I know how to add that. 1.055 to the t power is greater than. Now, we have 2,000 over 1,300 on that other side. I'm not going to simplify it all the way, but I'm going to get rid of the extra zeros. They both have 2 extra zeros on the end, right? So I can cancel out 2 of the zeros and make my fraction 20 over 13 instead of 2,000 over 1,300. You could use that, but then that's just more to type into your calculator when we get to the end. Oh. So, now we're going to use that rule we did before. Because we have our variable in the exponent, we need to be able to move that out in front, so we have to do the log of both sides so that we can move that t out in front. So I'm going to make this log of 1.055 to the t power is greater than the log of 20/13. So then I got to remember that, oh yeah, that's a fraction, I'm going to put that in parentheses. Now we can use that rule for exponents. I can take that t and put it out in front. T times the log of 1.055 is greater than the log of 20/13. Now in order to solve that for t, I need to move this to the other side. Since this is t times this, when I move it over, I'm going to divide. So I'm going to say that t is greater than the log of 20/13 divided by my log of 1.055. Now I get to use my calculator again. Now with the fraction, you have to use the parentheses. With the decimal number, you wouldn't necessarily need it, but it doesn't hurt to put it there. So I just put them there just to be safe, so I don't forget when do I use it and when don't I use it. If I always use it, I'm okay. Okay. So, log of 20/13 divided by the log of 1.055. What do we get?
I got 8.045.
T is greater than 8.045. Now it says round to the smallest possible whole number. So we're rounding and saying how many years is it going to take? I'm not going to just round it off and say it's only going to take me 8 years because at 8 years I still don't have quite $2,000. I have to be greater than 8 years, so I got to round it up to the next bigger value. So my answer is that it's going to take me 9 years in order to have more than $2,000. Okay? So we're not just going to round it off like we normally do. We're always going to round it up. 8 years isn't going to be enough. We got to round it up to 9. All right. So, number 11. A loan of $39,000 is made at 5% interest compounded annually. After how many years will the amount due reach $63,000 or more? So, our principal, $39,000. We're going to do 1 plus our interest. So 1 plus 0.05 to the t power, which we don't know because the question says how long. And we want to know when we're going to have $63,000 or more, right? So, looks pretty much like the previous one we just did. What should we do first?
Okay, so we need to divide 39,000.
Yep, get that out of there.
39,000. So then 1.05
To the t power.
to the t power is greater or lesser than
Greater than or equal to.
or equal to
And then we can reduce how many zeros out of there?
3.
3 on this one. And make it 63 over 39.
63 over 39.
Okay, then what are we going to do?
Okay, then we are going to move the t.
Before we can move the t, we got to put what? What word should be in front of each of those?
Oh, log.
Log. We got to do the log of both sides before we can move the t.
Yeah.
So we're going to have log of 1.05 to the t power and log of 63/39. Now we can move the t. Now that we've made them into logarithms, we can put the t in front. So t log of 1.05 is greater than or equal to the log of 63/39. And then what do we do to solve that for t?
We divide.
We divide.
Divide.
Log of 63/39 divided by log of 1.05.
Equals 9.8292.
So if we round that off, we're going to say 9 years is not quite enough. We have to go 10 years. In 10 years, we'll have more than $63,000. 9 years will be just a little short. All right. Number 12. Now, number 12 doesn't do an interest one. It's one where they just give you the percent of its value. So only on the interest ones do we add the 1 to them. On this one then, it says a laptop is purchased for $4,300. Each year its value is 80%. After how many years will it be worth $800 or less? So this one is decreasing in value. It's still starting at $4,300. My percent is just going to be 80%. It's not increasing, it's going down, so it's less than 100%. We don't need the 1 in front of it. To the t power, and we want to know when it's going to be less than or equal to $800. After how many years? We're going to solve it the same way as we solved the previous one. What should we do first?
Divide.
Divide. So we're going to divide by our 4,300.
So 4,300?
That's what we had there, right?
Yeah.
So 0.80 to the t power is going to be less than or equal to, and how many zeros can we reduce out of our fraction?
2.
2 of them. So we can make it 8 over 43. All right. Then what are we going to do?
8 over 43. And then we are going to
Log both sides. The log of 0.80 to the t power is less than or equal to the log of 8/43. So we'll put that in parentheses. Then we
remove the t.
T times the log of 0.80 is less than or equal to the log of 8/43.
And then we put then we divide.
And we divide. We're going to divide the log of 8/43 by the log of 0.8. So my time would equal
7.53.
7.53. So in 7 years, I'm not quite going to be low enough. I have to round that off to 8 years. But you'll always round it up to the next year, because 7 you'll be short, so I got to have 8 years before I'm all the way down to $800. All right.